Ankylodocus is one of Jurassic World's strangest giants, a hybrid built with the scale of a theropod and the defensive traits of an ankylosaur. It was already designed to stand apart. In this video, we're exploring the animal itself, its place in the franchise, and the design of a new Ankylodocus exhibit created to turn that hybrid into a true park centerpiece. Here in Jurassic World Kyoto, that centerpiece takes shape with the Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley, a sprawling safari-style habitat where open grazing grounds meet lush forests, cascading waterfalls, and panoramic guest views. Designed to showcase the immense size and calm majesty of Ankylodocus, this signature attraction invites guests to experience one of the park's most scenic herbivore destinations from every angle. More than a traditional exhibit, Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley functions as a fully immersive tour experience. A large fleet of gyrosphere carries visitors along predetermined pathways that move directly through the habitat, giving them close-range views of these towering hybrids as they travel through the valley. Rather than observing from a distance alone, guests are brought into the environment itself, surrounded by layered terrain, winding water features, and dense prehistoric foliage. That setting helps reinforce what Ankylodocus was always meant to be, a designer attraction built to capture attention. Ankylodocus is a genetically engineered hybrid combining the best genomes of Diplodocus and Ankylosaurus. Its long neck and sweeping body plan clearly reflect its sauropod ancestry, while the spikes and defensive body armor pull from one of the most recognizable armored dinosaurs of all time. The result is an animal that feels both familiar and unnatural, a giant engineered by intention. Within the Jurassic World universe, Ankylodocus belongs to the same secret hybrid initiative overseen by Dr. Henry Wu, the same program that produced animals such as the Indominus rex, Stegoceratops, Spinoraptor, the Pachycephalosaur hybrid, and the Amargasaurus therizinosaur hybrid. These animals were never meant to reflect nature as it once was. They were developed as entirely new designer species, custom-built combinations of multiple animals created to serve as next-generation attractions. That shift marked a major change from the original Jurassic Park philosophy. In those early years, genetics were used to bring the past back imperfectly. By the Jurassic World era, those same tools had gone further, until scientists like Henry Wu were no longer restoring extinct life, but inventing something entirely new. Today, that philosophy has been abandoned. No new hybrids are being created, and in the United States, legislation now bans hybrid ownership by private citizens. As a result, many of the hybrids now housed in Jurassic World facilities did not arrive as planned attractions, but through rescue, surrender, or confiscation. Some were purchased through black market channels by private owners who had no idea the animals become too large, too costly, too difficult, or too dangerous to manage. Others were seized by authorities once their ownership was deemed illegal. Following the fall of Manticore, many of its hybrids were also transferred into professional care across Jurassic World properties. Among the most extraordinary of these residents is Lumen, one of Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley's standout animals. Through the incorporation of bioluminescent genes derived from select marine life forms, Lumen is capable of producing a soft natural glow after dark, transforming this already unusual hybrid into one of Jurassic World Kyoto's most unforgettable nighttime sights. Known by a name that means fused beam, Ankylodocus is exactly what Jurassic World set out to create, a hybrid that feels instantly recognizable yet impossible at the same time. Built from the genetic foundations of Diplodocus and Ankylosaurus, it combines the towering scale of a theropod with the defensive features of one of prehistory's most heavily armored herbivores. Here, in Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley, guests can see that concept brought fully to life through Lumen, its siblings, parents, aunts, and uncles, as well as the two species that inspired it, Ankylosaurus and Diplodocus. Together, they turn the valley into more than a habitat. It becomes a living genetic showcase where Jurassic World's engineered future stands beside the prehistoric past it was built on. At full size, Ankylodocus is the largest bioengineered hybrid species ever created by Dr. Henry Wu, reaching about 20 feet tall and stretching over 90 feet long. From a distance, its outline is unmistakably sauropod. Long neck, deep chest, broad torso, and an enormous tail giving it a sweeping, powerful silhouette. But closer up, the Ankylosaur influence becomes impossible to miss. Thick armor-like plating, sharp spikes, and bony protrusions run across the back, shoulders, and flanks, turning what might have been a graceful giant into something that looks reinforced, weaponized, and built for spectacle. Its neck is long, but never delicate. Its limbs are thick and column-like, carrying a barrel-shaped torso with slow, deliberate power. Every part of Ankylodocus feels heavy, stable, and engineered to command attention. And then there's most dramatic feature, the club tail, measuring nearly 8 feet long. Instead of the slender whiptail seen in Diplodocus, Ankylodocus ended a massive Ankylosaur-inspired weapon, giving this gentle giant an active line of defense and making one of the most visually distinctive herbivores in the park. Despite its imposing design, Ankylodocus behaves much like a true theropod. Thanks to its Diplodocus heritage, it is calm, social, and highly tolerant of other dinosaurs in its habitat. It can even cohabitate with both its parent species, reinforcing the idea that this hybrid was designed not as a hyper-aggressive experiment, but as a next-generation herbivore attraction. Its armor functions almost like chainmail, giving the animal extra protection while preserving its otherwise peaceful nature. As a herbivore, Ankylodocus feeds primarily on tree ferns and conifers, with a strong preference for ginkgos, often browsing from tall feeders throughout the valley. And if you get hungry during your visit, you can stop by the mobile burger unit for a char or grilled bento burger, cool off at Sugar Theory with a favorite milkshake, or build a fresh meal at Sorrow Salad before continuing throughout the park. Ankylodocus may be a Jurassic World original, but its design was inspired by real prehistoric animals, and to understand this hybrid fully, we need to look at the science behind the creatures that made it possible, which brings us to paleontology. Unlike a real dinosaur, Ankylodocus has no fossil history of its own. There is no quarry, no holotype, and no rock formation where paleontologists uncovered its remains. Its story begins not in stone, but in the genetic imaginations of Jurassic World. To understand the animal behind the hybrid, we have to look instead at the two very real dinosaurs that shaped its design, Diplodocus and Ankylosaurus. That difference is important because Ankylodocus represents a major shift in InGen's philosophy. In the original Jurassic Park era, the company's goal was to recreate extinct species, even if incomplete DNA had to be patched with genes from living animals. The results were still presented as recognizable dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, and Velociraptor. The message was simple: science had brought the past back to life. During the Masrani era of Jurassic World, that philosophy changed. Guests wanted animals that were bigger, newer, and more spectacular. What had once been a technical compromise in cloning became a deliberate strategy. Instead of simply restoring extinct animals, InGen began designing entirely new attractions. Hybrids became a program of their own. That new direction entered the spotlight with Indominus Rex, the first hybrid openly marketed to the public as a next-generation attraction. Built from a Tyrannosaurus base and enhanced with other dinosaur and modern animal DNA, Indominus marked the moment Jurassic World crossed from recreating dinosaurs to manufacturing premium designer species. But Indominus was not truly the first hybrid. After the Indominus incident, journalists and investigators digging through Jurassic World records uncovered evidence of an earlier experiment, Scorpius rex, also known as E750. Created before Indominus, it proved unstable, violent, and too dangerous to reveal. Rather than being displayed, it was hidden away in secret tunnels on Isla Nublar and treated as a failed experiment. When Jurassic World fell, the hybrid program did not disappear, it only became more dangerous. Research connected to Indominus was later used to create the Indoraptor, a prototype hybrid derived from Indominus Rex and Velociraptor DNA. By that point, hybrid research was no longer centered on park attractions alone. It had begun drifting towards private sale and weaponization. It is within that history that Ankylodocus finds its place. At roughly 20 feet tall and over 90 feet long, it stands as one of the first and largest dinosaurs ever engineered by Dr. Henry Wu. More than that, it reflects the peak of Jurassic World's hybrid era mindset, taking two familiar herbivores and combining them into one enormous marketable spectacle. Ankylodocus was designed to impress through scale alone, while also standing apart as something guests had never seen before. And for those who want to take a piece of that experience home, whether it is your favorite Ankylodocus apparel, a Lumen plushie, or other Jurassic World clothing and memorabilia, you can stop by the Runaway Fashion gift shop before continuing your visit. So while Ankylodocus has no fossil past of its own, its identity is still rooted in paleontology, through the real dinosaurs that inspire its design. And to understand that connection more fully, we need to look at the ancient worlds those source animals once inhabited, which brings us to paleoecology. When discussing the paleoecology of Ankylodocus, there is one important detail to keep in mind. This animal has no true paleoecology in the scientific sense because it is not a real dinosaur species. There is no prehistoric formation where Ankylodocus once roamed, no ancient ecosystem preserved in stone that can tell us exactly how it lived. Instead, its ecological profile has to be inferred from the two dinosaurs that inspired it, Diplodocus and Ankylosaurus. Of those two, the strongest ecological influence appears to come from Diplodocus. The sheer size and body shape of Ankylodocus, with its long neck, broad torso, and sweeping frame, is an animal best suited for wide browsing spaces, for room to move, feed, and turn comfortably. Like its theropod parent, Ankylodocus thrives in environments that combine open ground with access to tall vegetation, allowing it to take advantage of its height and reach. At the same time, the Ankylosaurus side of its design adds another environmental layer. Its armor, defensive build, and club tail suggest an animal equally comfortable near woodland edges, sheltered browse corridors, and denser conifer-rich cover. In practice, that creates a habitat preference that feels like a blend of both parent species, open grasslands, forest margins, and heavily planted feeding zones where the animals can move between exposure and protection. That mixed setting is especially important here in Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley, because the habitat is also shared with Ankylosaurus and Diplodocus, the two dinosaurs that helped inspire the hybrid itself. As a result, the exhibit has to support multiple feeding styles at once. Ankylodocus and Diplodocus rely heavily on elevated browse, especially tree ferns, conifers, and other tall vegetation, while Ankylosaurus benefits from lower growing plant material like cycads and more accessible grazing areas. That means the valley is planted not just for atmosphere, but for function, with specific food sources arranged throughout the habitat to support each species naturally. And with animals of this size, that vegetation does not last long. Ankylodocus in particular consumes enormous amounts of plant matter, stripping branches, pulling down leaves, and emptying large trees of their leaves with surprising speed. When multiple giant herbivores are moving through the valley at once, entire feeding areas can be cleared far faster than most guests would expect. Trees, browse stations, and plantings have to be replaced on a constant basis just to keep up with demand. And that is why Jurassic World Kyoto maintains a massive arboreal support program dedicated to growing, rotating, and replacing the vegetation needed to feed these giant beasts. It is one of the least visible but most important parts of maintaining a mixed herbivore habitat of this scale. Behind the scenes, teams work continuously to ensure that fresh browse is always available, not only to keep these animals healthy, but also to preserve the natural appearance of the exhibit as these giants feed their way through it. Even with that enormous appetite, Ankylodocus remains one of the dominant herbivores in any environment built around it. Its immense size already limits the number of realistic threats it might face, and when that scale is combined with armor and a powerful club tail, the result is a dinosaur with very few predators willing to challenge it. Ankylodocus does not need speed to control space, its body is its protection, and its tail is its warning. Like many large herbivores, Ankylodocus appears to live either alone or in small social groups. Here in Jurassic World, that behavior translates into loosely connected family units rather than tightly packed herds. Guests may see individuals browsing on their own, moving in pairs, or feeding in related groups across the valley, creating a calm but commanding presence throughout the exhibit. So while Ankylodocus has no fossil ecosystem of its own, its fictional ecology is still built from recognizable prehistoric logic, the open browsing world of Diplodocus, combined with the armored woodland adjacent niche of Ankylosaurus. Together, these influences shape an animal that feels believable within Jurassic World, and they also explain why creating the right environment for it requires so much space, planning, and infrastructure. And once you understand the kind of world Ankylodocus was designed to thrive in, the next question becomes clear. How do you build an exhibit capable of bringing that world to life? Which takes us into the exhibit creation section. Welcome to Jurassic World Kyoto, the newest destination in the Jurassic World family. Japan was chosen not only for its beauty, but for the advantages its island geography provides. Isolation supports containment, while the surrounding scenery, from bamboo groves and cherry blossoms to volcanic cliffs and coastal waters, gives the park a distinct identity unlike any other Jurassic World location. It is a perfect setting for a species as unusual and visually striking as Ankylodocus. Situated between our irritator and Utahraptor habitats, Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley was designed as one of Kyoto's signature herbivore experiences. This is not a simple enclosure. It is a safari-style attraction where open grazing rounds meet lush forests, waterfalls, and panoramic guest views. Built to showcase not only Ankylodocus, but also the two dinosaurs it was designed from, Diplodocus and Ankylosaurus. The valley allows guests to experience a hybrid alongside the animals that helped inspire it. At the heart of that story is Lumen and its family group, including siblings, parents, aunts, and uncles, giving the habitat the feeling of a living multi-generational herd rather than a single display animal. From the moment guests arrive, the layout is meant to feel expansive and immersive. A main overlook near the map sign offers broad views into the valley, where open sightlines, layered terrain, and flowing water make every stop feel like a discovery point. At the center of the habitat lies a lush basin anchored by a dramatic waterfall and dense tropical planting, creating one of the most picturesque locations anywhere in Jurassic World Kyoto. The central wetland provides shade, cooling water, and a calm retreat space for the herd, while also serving as a visual anchor of the entire habitat. Valley sightlines remain within flagship visibility targets. Lumen Family Group continues to use the central wetland and eastern browse corridor as primary daytime holding zones. Guest satisfaction rating remains highest at overlooked platforms during morning feeding windows. From towering rockwork to expansive sandy clearings, every section of Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley has been designed to encourage natural movement, browsing, and social behavior. A continuous ring of engineered stonework and a surrounding moat form the outer containment boundary, creating the appearance of a natural quarry wall while serving as a highly controlled security perimeter. Rather than relying on obvious barriers, the exhibit uses terrain, elevation, and water to make the habitat feel like a living valley carved directly into the landscape. A major part of that experience comes from the Gyrosphere Valley Tour. The safari attractions send guests through the habitat in a fleet of gyrospheres traveling along predetermined pathways. The transparent shell of each vehicle offers a wider viewing range than traditional safari systems, while onboard screens provide safety information and educational material about the animals encountered during the tour. Manual control is technically possible, but not generally encouraged, allowing the system to maintain safe flow and reliable spacing throughout the valley. Each gyrosphere is tied into the park's RFID tracking system, allowing it to detect how close nearby dinosaurs are. If a vehicle approaches an animal too closely, it can automatically roll back to a safer distance. Additional safety measures include automatic door locks, reinforced seat belts, alarm systems triggered by unauthorized exits, and a protective exterior shell made from aluminum oxide nitride glass, built to withstand serious impacts while keeping riders protected until ACU or security teams arrive if assistance is needed. Guests who are pregnant or prone to motion sickness are also advised not to ride because of the quick turns and shifting terrain involved in the route. For visitors wanting an even more intimate experience, the Ankylodocus feeding station offers one of the most memorable views in the park. Disguised as a massive artificial tree, this viewing structure places guests inside the exhibit itself with a 360-degree vantage point, allowing them to watch Ankylodocus, Diplodocus, and Ankylosaurus feed up close on surrounding foliage. It is one of the clearest examples of the valley's design philosophy, bringing people into the environment while still preserving the illusion of a natural landscape. Feeding station guest throughput remains strong. Herbivore engagement highest during scheduled foliage drops. Ankylodocus response to close-view feeding interactions remains calm and consistent, with no abnormal stress indicators observed in Lumen or associated family groups. Overhead, the Jurassic World monorail adds yet another layer to the experience. Gliding above the habitat, guests are treated to sweeping aerial views of waterfalls, wetlands, open grazing grounds, and forest cover. By day, the valley feels like a vast reserve. By night, it becomes one of Kyoto's most breathtaking experiences, with soft pathway lighting, glowing water features, and elevated views of these gentle giants moving through the landscape beneath the stars. Behind that guest-facing beauty is a serious operational backbone. Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley is supported by a dedicated husbandry complex built to provide expert care, safe transfers, and daily support for some of the largest animals in the park. A secluded separation zone gives individuals options to retreat from public view, while also serving as a discreet access point for veterinary teams and ranger staff. That sense of choice is central to the design. A well-built habitat allows its animals to move between sun and shade, wet and dry, high and low ground, aiding them away from one another when needed. That complexity promotes natural behavior and long-term welfare far more effectively than size alone. The ground itself was designed with the same philosophy in mind. Different substrates, including dirt, sand, grass, and straw, were introduced throughout the enclosure to support feeding, resting, digging, nesting, and daily movement patterns. Working alongside paleobotanical teams, designers populated the habitat with flora inspired by the prehistoric world, including Temskia, cycads, and ginkgos. And while cherry blossoms were not authentic to the Jurassic period, staff found no issue incorporating them as thematic accent planning, allowing the exhibit to remain rooted in Kyoto's regional identity while still feeling unmistakably Jurassic World. The guest zone surrounding the habitat was also built as a full destination. With theme architecture, educational displays, retail, and dining nearby, the area blends entertainment and learning into one continuous experience. And if you like to take a piece of Ankylodocus home with you and build a Jurassic World of your own, the arcade also offers video game selection featuring titles such as Jurassic World the Game, Jurassic World Evolution 1, 2, and 3, where guests can step into the role of a park manager and create their own dinosaur parks. Visitors can also explore secrets of Dr. Wu in Jurassic World Evolution, where Dr. Wu's hybrid research, including the creation of Ankylodocus, takes center stage. Mixed species habitat performance remains stable. Veterinary access, ranger corridors, and separation systems remain fully operational. Overall exhibit condition rated excellent. Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley continues to meet flagship standards for guest immersion, animal welfare, and operational safety. As part of Jurassic World Kyoto's next expansion initiative, guests may still notice signs of ongoing growth. Newly planted groves, distant construction equipment, and the unmistakable sense that this park is still evolving. And while Ankylodocus can now be encountered across multiple Jurassic World locations, from Isla Nublar to Cascadia, San Diego, Manchester, Crete, and Jurassic World Sanctuary in the Dolomites, here in Kyoto, the species has been given one of the most ambitious homes yet. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this look at Ankylodocus, Lumen, and the Ankylodocus Gyrosphere Valley, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next video, which will be Myosaura, the good mother dinosaur.